Hello. I woke up this morning and I saw the rain and I wondered whether they were tears. And when I'm here and I look out at the sea of orange and the sea of friends and allies, I feel inspired and I feel hopeful. Anin, Indigenous, Rochelle, Animikog, Nanonja ba Motania na Schnebeka. Hello, friends and family. My name is Rochelle Dallaire. My people are the Montagnais people. I'm from the lower part of Quebec. I spent a lot of time in the traditional territory of the Six Nations in Ontario before moving from the Dish with One Spoon Treaty Territory, colonially known as Toronto, to the very beautiful territory of the Lekwungen-speaking people of the Songhees and Esquimalt Nation. I take an opportunity to acknowledge the nations and the surrounding communities and nations for hosting us, very, very cognizant that were it not for the displacement of our First Peoples, that we might not be gathered as friends and family here today. Consistent and pursuant to our protocol, we begin all of our gatherings with blessings and welcome. And I'd like to begin by inviting my special auntie to the podium to do a blessing, allowing us to ground ourselves and put both feet on Mother Earth and allow her to hold us. Auntie May, Elder May Sam from the Malahat Nation, friends and family.
Do you want me to take it off? Do you want to take it off?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I'm too bundled up here. Yes, thank you. Hayitka, Thamok. Thank you, everyone. From here, looking at everyone is so beautiful. My dear brothers and sisters, on a special day in recognition of the Orange Shirt Day and a recognition for our children that has been brought out in the cemeteries, in the graves, in the hidden graves. Our precious little babies that were brought out is out in the open from now on. The hurt and pain that my people have gone through with their children. I really pray today that you look at your little ones. You hug your little ones. You love them in each and every way. There's times when they're hungry, they get cranky. If they're tired, they get cranky. Just understand the little ones, their children. And most importantly, their education. I pray that they're safe in school today. All around Canada, protect our children. Give them and help them with the education that they need. I love all my children, my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. They're all precious to me. With the hurt and pain that we go through health, with the COVID, the heat wave that we had, the Creator has given us a trying time this year, showing us patience through the heat wave. I even prayed for my cat because it was so hot outside. You know, he suffered too. You know, I'm going to say a blessing for each and every one, not excluding anyone. I'm going to pray for your strength, your health, your happiness is what is more important. I pray for my family here. Haichka, you're drumming today, and drumming is a healing also in prayer. Haichka, my dear family, my precious little baby here, teaching the baby. I also want to say, Haichka, I call him Mr. Mike. He's taking care of this technology. I want to thank him also. I thank our mayor, our minister. I thank each and every one behind me here. I want to thank all the chiefs throughout Canada to take care of your community, to take care of all of the people and help them. This is what I say in my prayers, the blessing for each and every one of my loved ones in our community struggling. Please open your eyes and help the people in your community. Haishka. The blessing is first in my language is Halkaminam from Cowichan. The first language of my first 5, 6, 7 years before I could learn English in school. The torment I went through trying to teach me the language. It was very hard because I was teaching me the language in school, and I'd go home and we'd only speak Halkaminam. It was very hard. To all those parents, grandparents that have lost a loved one in residential school, my prayers for you today. My prayers for each and every one hurting in their heart. From my heart to your heart, all my blessings for you. Please take care of the little ones. Take care of your elders. Watch over them. They are your teachers. They are very important to share the knowledge that you need today. Haishka. Chunemics nask man say Timanas say Tisanders praise Lorum's day. Masi Haishka titel siem. Haishka the chach and steewith at nice quail. Zichumi lal metal slach and stalk with the chach and steewith Masi Haishka titel siem. Slach and stuch the mok ni chatlos at nice quail Masi. Zichum is lachen stalk with the chach and tamoch to now look on and hoimeted sag senich matulia masi haich matital siem. Haishka the mok ni chatlos ni the qaqi out. And the emas ni the qaqi out masi zichum is lachen stuch with the chach and stay with at nice quail. Slachen stuch the mok. Ja is nie the the doctors, the nurses, Masi Haichka. Masi. I praise and I thank the Creator for a blessing for each and every one here. Thank you for being here today, a blessing for each and every one. To take care of you and give you strength in your heart to stand up strong and be healthy, happy. Take care of family, each and every one. I've asked the Creator to bless us on the ground we walk on here. Squimalt, Songhees, Suk, Saanich, and Victoria, the community, the territories we walk on here. Ask our ancestors to take care of us and watch over us, and give us a helping hand through our trying times. And also to remember each and every one in the hospital today, right this moment. Bless each and every one that are struggling with their health. Bless all the doctors and the nurses that are helping our loved ones, our dear ones, through our trying time to teach us to take care of one another. Haichka. Haichka. From my heart to your heart, all the blessings for each and every one, my dear ones. A blessing to take care and be careful in your workplace. When you're tired and you're on your vehicle, be careful. Take time in your travels when you have a heavy workload on you, when you're behind your wheels. Please be careful. I love you, each and every one. Take care. Haichka. Haichka.
Miigwech, auntie, all my relations, a very powerful woman, a very special gift to myself, a very special gift to my daughter, and a very special gift to a lot of people. It's my honor to invite our next guest to the podium, the beautiful Brianna Bear from the Songhees Nation, also with ties to the Namjis Nations. Brianna is a knowledge keeper, and she's really challenged us to be able to open our ears and discover truths and just to embrace collective courage to change the world around us. And it's my honor to invite her to the podium.
Is this the main one? Ait squaicho, ACM siaya nishtalacha, ACM siaya nishwalakwa, Haichka CM, Naquilia here, Haichka CM, Lakwangantanga, Haichka CM, Musinich, asa the elia, a hinit sa lakwangan, a hinit sa namgis, and mami min Swiss. So good day, my friends, my honorable relatives, guests here today, my honorable community, dignitaries, those who are elders, matriarchs, hold special titles within your respective communities. I honor you here today. I raise my hands to each and every one of you, our community, who's come out today near and far to be here. I raise my hands to the ancestors of these lands who have gone before us and those who are still here today, the place to smoke herring people, the Lekwungen people of the Songhees and Esquimalt Nation. I raise my hands to my relatives in the Wasanich nations as well, as the name that was gifted to me by my family, the Echliat, actually comes from my Wasanich family. That name loosely translates to older sister, while my younger sister carries the younger sister name. Saying that, my roots to these lands are through my father's side of the family, which is Lahichilat Skip Dick, my grandfather, Linda Dick, my grandma, and then my father, Samet David Dick. And then I've also been honored and blessed to have roots to the Numgis people up in Alert Bay through my mom's wonderful family, who is through my grandfather, Norman Seaweed, my late grandmother, Beverly Williams, and my wonderful mom, who's still here with me today, Hatwina Pulakwa, Leslie Seaweed. It's an honor to be able to open up in such a good way in the protocols of our Lekwungen people, the protocols of this land. Because it wasn't long ago that we couldn't do this at one point. And now we take the conscious effort to get to learn about the territories, to get to learn about the lands, get to learn a bit about language too. I know this day means a lot to all of us. I actually only started doing protocol because of this day. I used to just follow my grandfather, Lahichilat, Skip Dick, to a lot of the protocols around the lands. It wasn't until one day that someone was asking him, "Are you able to come participate in an Orange Shirt Day protocol?" At the time, he didn't want to, and that's fair. So he turned to me, a young one who wasn't really listening to the conversation at the time. I'll admit that. And he's like, "Brianna, what are you doing this day?" I was like, "I don't know, Grandpa, whatever you want me to do." He's like, "Okay, Brianna will go." I was like, what did I just say yes to? And sure enough, that started me stepping into this role on behalf of my grandfather, my family, and my community. And when I started asking him, what does it mean to do this protocol, to welcome people to this territory? And he reminded me that it's how we honor the people that come into these lands. Because we would wait near the shore for you to come along in your canoes. And in this day and age, he reminds me that every one of us come from different walks of life, different communities, territories, and countries even that maybe we haven't even been to. Maybe we had to leave for education, for work, for a change. And that in our ways, we honor you for being here. We raise our hands and say, Haichka Siem. And we remind you gently to walk with that Aichkwaloan, that good heart and good mind while you're here on these lands. Walk in a good way. Even if you don't know what that means yet, it'll come to you as you learn, as you get to know our elders within our communities who share amazing words, who share teachings, that if you're willing to sit down and listen, it'll go into your heart. And so I just really want to raise my hands to each and every one of you, raise my hands to my dear friends here who have upheld this work so beautifully, and to all the elders who are out here today, who are survivors of residential schools, to the families who have been affected by intergenerational trauma, and to those who are looking to find their roots again, I welcome you to the place to smoke herring lands of the Songhees and Esquimalt Nation, and say Haitchkasiem. Thank you.
Miigwech, Brianna, Miigwech, all my relations. It's my honor to continue to invite speakers, guests, family, our relations to the podium. I'd like to invite two guests to the podium, Elder Heitalak and his wife, Quantam Tanat. Please.
My name is Heitalak. That's my grandfather's name. We come from Halalt. I'd like to thank you all to acknowledge all the survivors that what happened in residential school was hard. It was hard for me. I was 6 years old. I was born in 1955. They took me away in 1961, and I stayed there till 1970. I had a big family, Stan and Dorothy Thomas. That was their name. Today, I want to recognize they all went to residential school.
I'll get it for you, okay? Keep talking.
And it's hard for me. I drink because I miss them. I miss them so much.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Quantam Tanat. My English name is Jenny Thomas. So Jerry wanted to acknowledge his brothers that did not survive. Richard Thomas, Emerson Thomas, Randy Thomas, Rodney Thomas, Darren Thomas, Glenn Thomas, Audrey Thomas, Rosetta Thomas, Belinda Thomas, and Donna Jones. These are the ones that we could recall in the moment and write their names down.
In my life, I say to everybody, I said, always watch out for them. They had a hard life. We went to residential school. They kept it to themselves. They did. They didn't talk about it. I'm the oldest grandchild at 66 years old. And you know, I still cry because I miss them. But you know, I said to myself, whatever happened to me, it's not going to happen to my children or my grandchildren. I'm so proud of them. I do everything for any of my grandchildren and my children. I'll do everything for them because I'm so proud of them. And this is my wife for 43 years. We've been married now. Is it 43? Yeah. Yeah, it's 43 years. Yeah. And you know what? I'm so proud of my children. I'm so proud of my grandchildren. I haven't told the story about what happened to me in residential school. It's hard. I look around today. There's not very many people left around today that I can talk to because they're all gone. They never told their stories. They never ever told their stories. And I said, you know what? They won't tell their stories because it's hard. But today, I'm glad I finally stood up. I said, you know, they got to listen to us. They got to listen to us what really happened in residential school. Being there for 10 years, from 1961, I didn't know what was going on. I said, my grandma said, my mom said, oh, they came to the house. Indian Affairs came to my grandma's house. They came to our house. All she had to do was sign the paper, and we were gone the next day. Then I was, holy smokes. You know, I had no other than my grandma, Auntie Liz over there. I see you, Auntie. Love you. I see you. And I said, you look at my report cards. On my report cards, all I got was all D's from grade 1 to grade 6, grade 7. That's all I got was all D's. I had no education. They just put us in there so the federal government or whoever put us in there. I got the report cards from way back, so all I got is all D's. I got no education at all. My learning is all hands-on learning. I'm self-taught. I can do anything I want because I don't need nobody to tell me how to be there. But you know, I grew up with every one of them, all the names that I put on. I grew up because I said, whatever happened to me in residential school, it's not going to happen to my kids, my grandchildren. and my kids. My wife she went to residential school too. But you know, I'm a strong person. I have to be strong. I learned from my grandma Liz. I learned from my elders. You got to go see them, talk to them, tell them, and they'll tell you the right way, which way to go. Like my Auntie May right here behind me. That's why they're there. They're the listen. We're the listeners. We gotta learn from them, because we're still the next generation. Then my grandchildren's gonna be the next generation. And I say, I say to everybody, I says, you know what? Don't be scared to ask questions, and don't be scared to say who you are and where you come from, because we're so proud people. My life is okay. My wife says, wrap it up. Okay. Okay. In my final words, I say, you know what? In other words, I wasn't going to speak up, and I'm glad everybody said to say that. So I had to get up and say about the residential school. It was hard. And that was, but I learned from my grandparents. So I said, you got to be strong. I had a hard life. And I say, we lost a son, and when he was 6 years old, we lost a son. And we've been doing everything together. But you know what? The best word is always take care of each other, always respect each other, and always take care of each other. Says, you know what? Say, you know what? I love you. And that's what I say. Thank you. I'll see you.
Just offer you a little bit of medicine. All my relations. Thank you very much. Thank you for this. This microphone is a little bit tricky. We're doing our very best with it. And thank you for our relations in the room who've shared a very personal part of their lives and their stories. And today is a day of recognition, and I think that it's also a day of tears, and we're going to see those. And we thank our relations and our friends and our family who stand with us today in order to be able to hold us up while we do share that. Orange Shirt Day, Every Child Matters, is an initiative that grew out of Phyllis Webstat's account of having her orange shirt taken away the first day that she attended residential school. And she shared her very powerful story with the community in Canada and Williams Lake in 2013. And since then, Orange Shirt Day has become an opportunity to keep that discussion happening, to be able to have the conversation about all aspects of residential schools. For our aunties and our uncles, our grandmothers and our fathers who came home forever impacted, but also for our relations that never did make it home. Residential school survivor Eddie Charlie, my brother, my friend, and his beautiful ally, Kristen Spray, my sister, who sit with us today, are the committed and passionate organizers of Orange Shirt Day here in Victoria. They have worked tirelessly and around the clock, crossing paths with myself in the work that I do when I'm not standing in front of you good people. Their commitment and their passion is unprecedented, often taking money out of their pockets in order to continue to draw awareness to residential schools, survivors, and those who didn't survive. I'm often asked what reconciliation and allyship can look like, and sometimes, while my response tends to be quite lengthy and is probably beyond the scope of our time here today, one of the things that I do know and I do want to say is that I thank every one of you for showing up. I thank every one of you for standing here with Indigenous peoples, survivors of residential schools, and the families of those who never came home. And I just thank all of you for making this day matter and for making our children matter. It's my pleasure to MC your event here today and offer a lot of medicine and a lot of gifts in the form of song and dance and sharing. And I begin by calling on Nicole Mandrick, our sister who is going to join us is Anishinaabe. She's also Irish and Ukrainian. She is a visual artist. She is a performer. She grew up in the Lekwungen territory, though. She is dedicated to Anishinaabe art practices. She's inspired by Anishinaabe stories, art, language, songs, an accomplished performer, an emerging leader, a composer. I'm calling on my sister. Nicole, I'm so glad you got up here because I would have kept right on going. It's my honor and my pleasure to invite you to the podium. And what we're just going to do is we're going to ask our guests on stage to just remain as close as possible to the mic. That way our guests standing in the very, very back can also hear all my relations.
Wow, there's a lot of people. This is beautiful. Buju, Niba no Benesik Indigo Anishinaabe Mong and Guime, Anishinaabe Irish Ukrainian and Daugaye, Miigwech Lekwungen, Miigwech Esquimalt, and Miigwech Wasanich. I'm so honored to stand here to be asked by my dear friends to share a song. And the song I'm going to be singing was composed by Frida McDonald, who comes from Saugeen. And this song is a call and response. So it's if a parent or a mother or a father or sings the first part and is calling out to the children to, if they're playing in the field, to come home. And for me, this song has taken on a bit of a new meaning with the reveals. For me, this song is calling those children home back so that we can recognize them. I know there's people in the crowd that know this song. If you've got your drum, it's just a steady beat. And I encourage you to sing along. Way
Thank you. Our sister Nicole and her voice of medicine, miigwech, all my relations. Nicole's going to be joining us once again on our agenda. But before that, I want to welcome the Victoria Children's Choir, who is going to be joining us today in order to do a song, Who Am I? I want to thank the performers and the singers and also the groups, like this group of young people who have come to stand with us today. The Victoria Children's Choir is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. They strive for choral excellence. They provide world-class music education. The song that they're going to be performing is Who Am I? It is my honor to invite this beautiful group of young people in their place of leadership.
They're going to come out this way.
switch. Those are our young people. This is our future. These are our future leaders. Beautiful voices. For those of you who were able to hear it at the front, I trust our guests and friends at the back were also able to catch some of that gift. You know, when it comes to song and dance, it's not just medicine for Indigenous peoples. I swear it's one of our love languages. It's part of the way that we gift. And it is my deepest honor as we move through our day of recognition together that I want to welcome the Westwind Intertribal Group from Sartlip and Sayout First Nation, two of our peninsula communities. They're a family drum group. They come from a very long line of powwow people taught by their late grandfather, Ernie Bertram. I want to welcome their generosity of song and music. Please help me honor our group who are here to share their tradition with us. If that isn't powerful, I don't know what is. Friends from our peninsula families, thank you. Miigwech, all of my relations, for the medicine, for the generosity. We are going to move, friends, into the raising of the flag to remember the elders who survived, forever impacted, our relations who never came home. And it's with a deep honor that I want to just spend a moment to tell you a little bit more about Orange Shirt Day and the flag. It's to honor and remember residential school survivors and our babies who were taken from us. The Victoria Orange Shirt Day flag bears the very beautiful logo by Coast Salish artist Bear Horn, and it was gifted to Eddie and Kristen, who you're going to meet very shortly, designed especially for this commemoration and the annual Orange Shirt Day that Every Child Matters ceremony. I've been told by Eddie and Kristen that on that flag that you may have seen while our young sisters were dancing, that the bear is to help us find the right path. The eagle that you see is to help us find the bright vision and hope for the future. The hummingbirds, messengers, they help us in mind, body, and spirit. And the flowers that you see on that flag are to help connect all of these elements together. Elder May Sam, my auntie, and Eddie Charlie are making their way to the pole. You're going to see it in the middle of the courtyard, friends, and in just a moment, we're going to ask everybody to turn around and observe the flags. We're going to raise the Victoria Orange Shirt Day flag on the homelands of the Songhees and Esquimalt Nation. Friends and families, after the flag has been raised, Eddie Charlie is going to perform 15 drum beats. Those are going to be followed by a full minute of silence. And when you hear those drum beats, the drum is medicine to Indigenous peoples. Not only does it represent the heartbeat of Mother Earth, but it also represents our time in the womb where some of us, we were safest. And in this breath, we acknowledge the power of the drum beat in recognition of our babies that never came home. And again, those who did and who will forever be impacted. Please, I ask that you turn to witness the raising of the flag, and then you're going to hear 15 drum beats, followed by a full minute of silence. All my relations. miigwech, all my relations, thank you. It's my honor to turn our time back to our drum group and family.
Thanks for waiting. This is empty.
Again, a lot of power and a lot of generosity. Thank you to our friends. It's my honor to ask Mayor Lisa Helps to come forward next. Very recently, or relatively recently, I sat in a virtual room and I said, tell me the truth. Is it really true that you have chickens in your backyard? And Mayor Helps says, yes, Rochelle, there are chickens in the backyard. This is Mayor Help's 5th consecutive year with the City of Victoria, supporting the Victoria Orange Shirt Day ceremony to mark the city's commitment to reconciliation. It is with a lot of honor that I take the opportunity to thank Mayor and Council for the support of this important work. While it's led by Indigenous communities and Indigenous survivors, Indigenous peoples, it can't be done without the support of the city, and they have stood fast next to Eddie and Kristen as they've done their work. Please welcome Mayor Lisa Helps.
Thank you very much, Rochelle. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to begin in a good way by recognizing that I'm a guest here on Lekwungen land, the homelands of the Songhees and the Esquimalt nations. I'd like to thank Elder May Sam for starting the event off in a good way, for her prayers, for all of us to take care of each other. I'd also like to thank my sister, Brianna Bear, the Songhees, powerful young woman who gave us her words of welcome to her territory. And I asked Brianna, can I call you my sister? Because she and I are actually part of the same family. The city family is the city's reconciliation body, not a task force, not a committee, but a family. And Brianna and I have been working together with Songhees and Esquimalt members and urban Indigenous people for the last 5 years as we walk this path together. It is really wonderful to see all of you here today. This event, as was noted, started here in Centennial Square 5 years ago by Eddie and Kristen. They graduated from Camosun and had been holding the event on campus and needed a place and a new home for the event. And the city has been so proud and so honored to walk alongside them, to carry out their vision, and to really honor Eddie and every other person here today and not here today who survived the dehumanizing, utterly unspeakable conditions of the residential school system. So we're here today to honor Eddie and all the survivors. And we're also here today because these events are no longer unspeakable. They are making, and not in a good way, international headlines. When we saw over the summer the bodies of children, of babies. And we're here today for them, for those who never came home. We're here today to also speak and hear their truth, the stories from their families, the pain, the loss, the anger. We're here today together to hold all of that. Because we know that it is so much easier to hold grief, to hold shame, to hold pain when you're not holding it alone. And so we're here today to stand together with survivors, to stand together with the families of those children who never came home. And we're here today because I'll speak only as a non-Indigenous person, and I hope I'm speaking on behalf of all non-Indigenous people here. We're here today as non-Indigenous people as a commitment to continue to listen, to continue to walk this path, to continue to believe the stories that we're told, and to continue to love with open hearts our Indigenous brothers and sisters. And we'll be here again next year on September the 30th. And I was going to say challenge, but that seems too forceful. My invitation to all of you, all of us non-Indigenous people, is to think about what can we do in a meaningful way? What difference can we make in a meaningful way between now and when we gather again next September the 30th? What difference can we make knowing what we know? Thank you for coming. Thank you to Eddie for his inspiration. Thank you to Kristen for supporting him. And as you can see by all of the City of Victoria tents and the speakers, and none of this would have happened without the City of Victoria staff, so I really wanted to thank them as well. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mayor Helps. It's my further honor to introduce and to welcome Lindsay Leckie to the stage. Lindsay carries German British ancestry from her father's lineage and Salvadorian ancestry from her mama's lineage. Lindsay has always said that singing is a way to connect with the spirits of others through the exchange of the life force of the breath. I would love to welcome Lindsay to the stage, and Lindsay is going to be singing a song for Auntie May Sam, Auntie Elder May Sam. Please welcome Lindsay.
Thank you for the introduction and for the opportunity to stand here. To see this sea of orange, such a powerful image to be reflected. It's a sea of love. Singing is my love language. And so I offer this song today. I had a choir director say to me before that when there are no words to say, there's a song to sing. So I'm going to sing it once, and then I'm going to sing it in parts and invite you to sing it back with me. It's for you. I am grateful to be heart beating, lungs breathing, joyous and free. Even when the hard times are all around me, I am grateful to be. All right, so I'm going to sing a line and you're going to sing it back. I am grateful to be. All right, your turn. I am grateful to be. Heart beating, lungs breathing. Heart beating, lungs breathing. Joyous and free. Joyous and free. Even though the hard times are all around me. I am grateful to be. All right, we're going to sing it again, and we're going to sing it together. And as a reminder, if we can do anything, we can use our voice, and we can use our love, and we can lean into that light that provides healing in the wounds and the darkness. And we're going to sing it 2 more times together, and we're going to sing it for the children that never came home. We're going to sing it for the children that did come home, forever changed, and we are going to sing it for the children yet to come. We're going to sing it 2 more times together, all right? I am grateful to be heart beating, lungs breathing, joyous and free. Even though the hard times are all around me, I am grateful to be. I am grateful to be heart beating, lungs breathing, joyous and free. Even though the hard times are all around me, I am grateful to be. Thank you so much. Heitska.
Thank you, Lindsay. What a powerful voice. Very, very powerful voice and a beautiful song. Thank you for your beautiful energy and your relationship. I know that most of us probably don't know this, but the very beautiful Lindsay and her voice are actually very, very close friends of Eddie and Kristen, and it's an honor for her to have shared her time with us today. I also want to invite our next guest to the podium, Dr. Danielle Ben-Smith. Dr. Smith is from the Big Animal people of the Fort Nelson First Nation in British Columbia. She's also French-Canadian and Métis from the Red River of Manitoba. She is joined today by her beautiful girls. She is a family physician. She works in the area of public health to help arrest systemic racism, the one that what negatively impacts the health and wellness of Indigenous peoples. She provides independent advice and support to the Ministry of Health on systemic racism and promoting Indigenous health, and we're honored to have her and her girls here at our podium today. Welcome. Come on up, girls.
Masicho, Haichka, Osiam Asiam, thank you so much for having us here this afternoon. It's such an honor and a privilege to be speaking to you on the territories of the Lekwungen peoples and to have had the beautiful opening by Elder May Sam, to have had that beautiful song just now from our friend Lindsay Lichty, who actually we know from a long time ago when we all lived in Dawson City in the Yukon, so it's a small world. I'm Danielle Bain-Smith. As was mentioned, I'm Echo Dene from Fort Nelson First Nation. Je suis aussi franco-manitobain et métis de la Rivière-Rouge. And I am very honored to work as the Deputy Provincial Health Officer for Indigenous Health. And Dr. Bonnie Henry wanted to join us today, and unfortunately it wasn't possible, but I do send her greetings. My girls and I, in Slavey, one of my names would be Lucy Mo, which means Lucy's mom. So she's my eldest daughter, Lucienne, and this is Maeve, our younger daughter. And we're standing here today to honor my girls Etsia, their grandpa, my dad, Richard Bain, who was taken to Lower Post Residential School when he was 4 years old. We're standing here to honor my aunties Pat and Elaine, who were taken with him at that time, both of whom have passed now, and all of our aunties and uncles who were also taken to residential school, and to all of the survivors that are gathered here today and all those who didn't make it home. 20 years ago, I went into medical school. And I should also say that I prayed really hard today to find the right words, good words, and it was really challenging. And I think some of the earlier speakers mentioned that it's because there are no words that can make this right, only actions. That's the only thing that's going to make this right. So I went into, I went to medical school 20 years ago because I wanted to help our people to be healthy and whole. And since that time, I've come to realize that the only way we can be truly healthy and well is by having the freedom to be ourselves. And we've got a lot of work to do, Masi. And what I've also come to learn is that we have different work to do. So as Indigenous peoples, our work is to hold one another up, to hold on to our songs, our dances, our ceremonies, our prayers, our elders, our language, our lands. We've got a lot of work to do. And as Mayor Helps just pointed out, as settlers, as non-Indigenous Canadians, British Columbians, you have a lot of work to do. And you have really hard work to do. And it's been a long time coming, and I'm so grateful to see all of you gathered here today and know that the hard work starts tonight when you leave the square and you go home and you have those hard conversations with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones that aren't here today, with your colleagues, and you ask yourselves, how can we disrupt the status quo? I think a lot about those moments, that moment when European people came to these lands and they truly believed that they were better than us. They thought that their way of life was better than us. They thought that their education was better than ours. They saw us as savages. And I'm so grateful because I know that there's nobody gathered in this square today that holds that as a personal belief. However, our systems and structures, our laws are still rooted in those racist ideologies, those ideologies that settlers are better than us. And so that's what I'm talking about. That's the hard work that each and every one of us has to tackle. How do we disrupt the status quo? I spent about half an hour earlier today talking to my Uncle Bonzo. It was nice, we hadn't talked to him in a long time. He's 70, and he hasn't been vaccinated yet. So I spent about half an hour today talking to him about how safe these vaccines are, they're really good medicines, and how dangerous COVID is, you know? And it made me really sad to think how many of our relatives are taking the risk and they're not getting these good medicines because of their profound distrust for the healthcare system, for the vaccines. And so I guess I am going to be a little bit more bold, Mayor Helps. And I am going to say that my call to action, my challenge to you is to earn back our trust. And it starts today, tomorrow, the day after. And I'm sure Dr. Henry is listening. So my final words are, please go get vaccinated. Yay!
I told you to say that.
Masi cho, masi. Okay, let's go.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. We're going to have our friend Nicole come back up very shortly, but before that, I want to invite NDP Member of Parliament for Victoria, Laurel Collins. We've got lots of medicines happening today because I think she's actually going to come up on stage with her tiny, tiny little beautiful one. But Laurel was recently re-elected, but one of the really cool things about Laurel is she's a huge advocate for environmental protection, climate solutions, and ending gender-based violence. And when we think of the environment and we think of our climate as Indigenous peoples, the land is our medicine. When land is taken from us or the land is hurt, it takes the natural medicines we have from us in order to be able to heal ourselves in the way that we know best. So her advocacy, her commitment is deeply appreciated, and it's also my honor to please invite her to the podium. Come on up.
Oh, it is so incredible. I feel so honored to be here with you all on the homelands of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, of the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations. I want to say a big thank you to Elder May Sam and to Brianna for your words and your welcome, your blessings. I also want to start by acknowledging Eddie Charlie and Kristen Spray for the incredible commitment and dedication that you have to this very, very difficult work. And I've witnessed over the years their dedication, but also the toll that this work takes. And it's through their commitment that they truly honor every child that experienced the traumas, the irreparable harms from the terrible residential school system. I also want to thank each and every one of you for being here today, for doing the important work of stepping up, of listening, of learning, of honoring. And today we have an opportunity to ask ourselves some very important questions. What does this day mean for us? What does it mean for Canada? How do we acknowledge and support the ones who have been doing the work of raising awareness? How do we support healing? What are our next steps on this path of reconciliation? And we may not have all the answers, but it's important that we start this work with relationship building, with truth, with listening, with humility. And for me, when I'm thinking about next steps, as a Member of Parliament here in Victoria, I'm committed to listening, to learning, but also to fighting for justice. And the next steps for this federal government, especially in the wake of yesterday's court decision, are to stop taking Indigenous kids and residential school survivors to court. I will be pushing this government to stop these needless legal battles, but also to address the chronic underfunding and lack of services for Indigenous children. You know, a vital part of the work of reconciliation is what we're doing today, and it is fully acknowledging the depth of harm for residential school survivors, for Indigenous children, for communities impacted, and the harm done by this genocidal policy of residential schools. But acknowledgement and recognition is not enough, and especially in the wake of the discovery of thousands of unmarked graves, it is so essential that we bring every child home. That we fund the commemoration, the reburial, the healing work in while listening to the communities and in accordance with the wishes of residential school survivors, their families, and their communities. You know, I will be, and I invite you to join me in calling on the federal government to implement all 94 calls to action in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. There is a lot of work to do, and being here today is one small, important step. But really, it is just one step. The work is ahead of us, and looking out at this crowd, at this sea of orange, I am filled with optimism about our collective future. And I am so grateful that my daughter will know the truth as she grows up earlier than I learned it, and that we are fighting for the future, for the next generations. And I'm so thankful to every single one of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Laurel. And really beautiful to see her little one on stage. What Laurel couldn't see is while she was giving her speech, Baby was just absolutely smitten with Brianna, who was directly behind her. And Baby just had the biggest smile and the biggest eyes for Brianna. Laurel, you know, you talked about healing, and it's quite fitting because Nicole is going to come back to the stage, and she's got a healing song that she's going to sing. It's called the Bear Song, and in Anishinaabe teachings, the bears are actually the healers. So it's my honor to ask Nicole to come back to the stage. Thank you.
Hello again. I have the honor of sharing one more song for you today. I have the privilege of getting to work with our old ones at Camosun College. And every day, not just on Orange Shirt Day, every day they show up with their hearts and their spirits, and they share with our students. They share with our faculty. They give so much of themselves to us so that we can learn, that we can be better. And so this song I'm going to sing is the Bear Song, Makwa, and as was shared in our teachings in Anishinaabe Moan, Makwa is the healer. It's the one who brings medicine. It's the protector. And I think of our old ones, I think of our survivors, our thrivers, our families of survivors who bring that medicine. And so I just want to dedicate this song to them today. Oh, and I learned this song from the beautiful Sandy Mitchell, who's in the crowd somewhere. Yeah, if you can give her a round of applause.
Away.
Thank you once again, Nicole. Also joining us today is the Honorable Mitzi Dean, Minister of Child and Family Development. Mitzi is the appointed Minister of Child and Family Development. She's also the chair of the Cabinet Committee on Social Initiatives, a member of the Treasury Board. Mitzi probably doesn't remember this, but the first time I met her was in her time as the executive director of a nonprofit in the West Shore communities. So it's been a really, really long time, Mitzi, but it's my honor to invite you to the podium. It's also my understanding that Mitzi is going to be making a special presentation, and I'm honored to be a part of that. Welcome, Mitzi.
Well, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Tiana Square Nasne Mitzi Dean. I go by she, her pronouns, and I just spoke briefly in the Lekwungen language to show my deep and profound appreciation for the traditional territory that we're gathered on here today, the territory of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, now known as Songhees and Esquimalt nations. And I thank you all for inviting me here today to be with everybody on this day of reflection and remembrance and of honoring as well. I really want to say a special thank you to my friend Elder Maysam and Brianna as well, and just everybody for making me so welcome here today. Thank you so much to Eddie, Charlie, and to Kristen Spray for their work, bringing this together every single year and really making it part of our culture, part of our building of relationships here in the region. Thank you to all the other elders and dignitaries who are here with us today as well. And thank you to everybody who's making this special gathering just a part of your day today, and for your commitments in being here and in what this means to be here. And we've been so blessed with all the gifts of the music and the dancing and the stories, and I know we're going to hear more, and I really appreciate all of that. I think we're all very fortunate to be sharing in these gifts. As BC's Minister of Children and Family Development and someone who has worked in community social services in child protection for over 30 years, I see the impact that colonization and the legacy of residential schools has had and still has on the child welfare system and the lives of Indigenous people. And there is no doubt that even today, the child welfare system is overly involved in the lives of Indigenous children, youth, and families. The recent findings at residential school sites across the country have reminded us again of the atrocities experienced by Indigenous children and families. Each child was taken from their family and a community that loved them, and those families and communities could not properly put them to rest. These findings have reinforced what we've already heard from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, that the path of reconciliation must include a clear vision for a system where no Indigenous children are brought into care. We have been working hard to transform the system, and we know we need to do much more to support Indigenous children, youth, families, and communities, and get us closer to that vision. I am committed, and our government is committed, to following the lead of Indigenous communities and build a new system of trust instead of one that creates further trauma. So today, Orange Shirt Day. As we all know, September the 30th became Orange Shirt Day 8 years ago when Phyllis Webstad first shared her story. This year, thanks to the advocacy of many residential school survivors and supporters and the Truth and Reconciliation Call to Action, September the 30th is now National Day for Truth and Reconciliation in Canada. And as our government puts a plan in place for how to recognise this day more broadly here in British Columbia, we know that significant consultation is needed with survivors, with families and communities who have been impacted by the ongoing legacy of residential schools. So we're committed to supporting a process of truth-telling and healing in Indigenous communities and for residential school survivors and their families. And it's essential that we continue to listen to and work with the Orange Shirt Day campaign to raise public awareness of the residential school system and its ongoing harm, so that everyone in this province recognises the importance of reconciliation and the role each of us has to play in doing this really important work. We all have...
Residential school. Please be strong and brave. No more children as of today go into care. There are more aunties, more grandmas, more uncles, more people who will lift up those children in care. No more children as of today are taken away in the Greater Victoria School District and area. No more children.
Thank you. And thank you to all of the aunties and community members who have stepped up. Thank you to everybody in community who is working with the ministry and with agencies and in communities and working together to make sure that we do ensure that all children, especially Indigenous children, remain connected to their family, to their community and to their culture. And because we've been doing that difficult work together in partnership, we now have the lowest number of Indigenous kids in care in 20 years. And I am committed to carrying on, improving the system and making sure that we deliver on that vision. Thank you. We all have hard work ahead, and we all need to paddle together. Can we have a meeting? Can we have a discussion together? I've expressed my commitment here today that we need to make improvements in the system, and I am committed to doing that. Our government is committed to doing that. Our government is committed to reconciliation and passed the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act. We are working in partnership with Indigenous communities, and I'm happy to work with anyone and everybody. Thank you. I am here... Thank you. I am here today to present the proclamation for September the 30th as Orange Shirt Day in BC. It's such an honour for me to be able to present this to Eddie Charlie and Kristen Spray, and everybody I know has done so much work. Everybody is so dedicated to this work that brings us to this day every year, and so it's a real honour for me to be able to present the proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Mitzi Dean. Thank you for your words. Thank you for your generosity. Today, friends, today we walk gently with each other. We gather in friendship. And in this note, I would like to introduce our next guests. We've invited Indigenous guest speakers today to share a little bit about their personal experiences, not only with residential schools, but also reconciliation. And our next guest is Paul Lacerte and his beautiful girl, Sage. They're members of the Carrier First Nation in northern British Columbia. They belong to the Bear Clan and the Caribou Clan, co-founders of the Moose Hide Campaign. So for those of you who might not be aware, Moose Hide Campaign is a grassroots movement of Indigenous and non-Indigenous men and boys and a lot of other Canadians who are standing up against violence towards women and children. The story that's been shared with me is that their very important work was inspired on a hunting trip along the infamous Highway of Tears, where too many Indigenous women have gone missing. And I'm going to let Paul and his beautiful girl tell you more about that. But essentially, behind Moose Hide Campaigns, our goal is to stand with women, to encourage men to hold each other accountable, not only hold each other up, but hold each other accountable, to teach boys respect, to heal, to stand up to violence and to take action. This movement has been in place for years and years, and under Paul's leadership, we've been able to mobilize not only our Indigenous men, our brothers and our relatives, but also non-Indigenous men and women who have come and stood alongside that work. It's my honor to invite Paul on stage to the podium.
Hadi, Sage Lacerte Sadney, Loretta Madam Slew, Paul Lacerte Spa, Tebes Nachalia Lokwangin Keo, Sai Grana Lashabu Injan Yinkaktene Keo. Hello, community members, elders, my matriarchs, all of our beautiful young ones that I've seen here today. I said my name is Sage Lacerte. My mom is the late Loretta Madam from the Lake Babine Nation in the Carrier Territory. I'm so honored to stand here with my dad, Paul Lacerte, today. I'm a member of the Bear Clan. I'm committed to being a lifelong learner. I'm a birth worker and proud to bring our Indigenous babies earthside. I just want to say thank you for the invitation and for continuing to hold space, Eddie and Kristen, since our time at Camosun together. And I just want to express how good it feels to be here today as a young Indigenous woman and queer person, just being able to be in this space and feel really safe and feel really loved. I am an intergenerational residential school survivor. Many members of my family and my community attended the LeJac Residential School near Fraser Lake in BC and church-run day schools. And those legacies have stayed with me for a really long time. And I think my commitment today is to intergenerational healing. And I want to do that in the form of sharing words and sharing breath, but just to offer an invitation. I know I'm so tired. This is a really hard day, and I want to invite everyone to, if you're with someone who's in your bubble, then to ask if they'd like a hug, and if you'd just like to spend a moment with yourself, to just reach your arms out and to wrap them around yourself, to just offer a moment to be in your body and to recognize where we are right now. This is a really powerful moment, and I love you all so much. Masi cho.
Deneza, Tekeza, Daicho, are my respected relatives, elders, chiefs, Snachalia, Injan Lakwangan Keo, Paul Sadni, Mark Spa, Marilyn Slu, Nasl Deachatzian, Sophie Ketlo Alu, Sagana Laksiliu, Injan Yekaktane Keo. My name is Paul. My traditional name is Gilam Gilo. I'm so grateful to be here with each and every one of you today. And I'm so grateful to be welcomed into this beautiful territory. And thank you for the beautiful prayer to get us started in a good way. As Sage said, we're intergenerational residential school survivors. And something that's in our heart today is just to acknowledge each and every one of you and the medicine that you're bringing today. Each and every one of you has medicine. For some of you, that medicine is a thirst for justice. And we can feel that. You know, we can feel that. For some of you, it's compassion. You know, for some of you, it's love. And I can tell you that before this day, you know, before the discoveries this past summer, we need that medicine. You know, Indigenous people need that medicine. This country needs that medicine. For 5 generations of the residential school experience, there was a concerted effort to take the love out of the relationship between us as genders, all along the gender continuum, and to put harm in that space. There was a concerted effort to take love out of the relationship between us as genders and put dysfunction and pain and hurt in that space. There was a concerted effort to take the love out of the relationship that we have with our territories and to put hurt and dysfunction in that space. And there was a concerted effort to take the love out of the relationship between us and the ancestral world and to put hurt and dysfunction in that space. And it feels like today we're bringing medicine to those hurts. We're taking all of that hurt back out and we're putting love back in. We're putting love back in the space in between us. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. Sage talked about the Musai campaign. And we started it along the Highway of Tears because so many women still in this day are being murdered or gone missing. And the status quo is unacceptable. The status quo is unacceptable. This is an ongoing challenge that we have as a society. And for me, I want to talk to the guys here, the male identifying people here, because we can do better. We can do better. Every single one of us can reach for our higher selves. And this journey of truth-telling, and reconciliation is an opportunity for us to look in the mirror for each and every one of us. And you know, we're talking on our way here, Sage and I, about the parents when those kids got taken, you know, how those parents must have felt. And I know how I would feel, you know, and I know that we'll do anything to keep our women and children safe. But if that's true, then that's going to take each of us men looking at ourselves and having the courage to do better. That's such an important part of our pathway to a better future, because it's important today, but it's just as important tomorrow, as you've heard from folks here, that together we are going to build a better future than the past that we've had. So I'm gonna, like Sage, I'm gonna end with a short exercise, and it's to say something in our carrier language. You're hearing all of these beautiful words in our languages being spoken. What an act of defiance. What an act of defiance. So I'm going to get you to say this because most of you are wearing masks. Nobody's going to know if you don't get it right. And the statement is Nyan spe. I'm going to just wait and you'll say it in a second. And it's Nyan spe hunzu. And Nyan spe hunzu means you are so beautiful to me that my heart leaps up inside of me when I look at you. Okay? So we're going to say that together, because this love medicine, this is what we need to take all of that dysfunction out and put the love back in us all along the gender continuum, put the love back in the space between us as genders, as generations, between us and our territories, between us and ancestral world. This is our desired future state. This is our full recovery, is to put love back in those spaces, yeah? So, Nyan Spe Hunzu, you are so beautiful to me that my heart leaps up inside of me when I look at you, okay? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Nyan Spe Hunzu. I'm going to get you to look at the person beside you, whether you know them or not, and really, really mean it. You are so beautiful to me that my heart leaps up inside of me when I look at you. Look at the person beside you now. Nyan Spe Hunzu. Especially these guys over here in uniform. It's okay. You can... Nyan Spe Hunzu. Nyan Spe Hunzu. So thank you so much for the chance to share a little bit. We love you all so much, and have a really great day, rest of your day.
All my relations, miigwech. I wonder if they sit around at the dinner table, Paul and Sage, and they flip a coin to see who's going to follow who, because they're both really, really hard to follow. I think that my motto has always been that leadership takes courage, and when I was listening to Sage, I thought that's courage, and where there's courage, there is leadership. A really strong speaker, Sage, and it was really lovely to have you both on stage. Folks, our time together isn't done. I'd like to introduce you to Elder John Elliott, who's our next Indigenous guest speaker. Language is key to our cultures, and John has been instrumental in preserving and revitalizing language. He's currently the chairman of the Saanich Native Heritage Society, as well as a board member for the First Peoples Cultural Council. He teaches at the University of Victoria, and also is with the Wasanic School Board. Please welcome Elder John Elliott, please.
Good. Pachelacha, Tuesday, Knishit, Nishelacha, Sholaka, Tuxla, songs, Elopongan, Shelacha, Quest, Tangu, Etati, and Etatia, Lusuchi, there, Hidok Nashit, the Lochux, Wednesday, with him. It's a Kunzu, what it was the end of CM High School. Hidok Nashit, Eddie Charlie, Christian Spree, Quincia, Chetuknessa, Nequat, and Aquila, the Novetta. In Aquila, and Quileta, the end and high, and straight, theatre and Quince. I wonder sometimes, how do I get to be up here speaking with all these people, beautiful speakers and people? But I've been asked to do a job that's that's been a part of my life, and that is to work with our squel, our language in Shothan. It's our languages of the saltwater people along the streets here. And, you know, I'm here today to pay honor to those ones that have gone to residential school, those ones that never made it home, and those ones that they will be finding still in the coming days. We've all been affected by that. All of our First Nations people and families that were just what we call ingatanga. We've been just stepped on in this country we call Canada. They didn't have any care about us if we had a belief of our own. That was a good belief. And you know that when they first arrived to this beautiful, beautiful country, it was clean and beautiful with ancient forests, beautiful, clean streams, and straits and rivers full of fish and beautiful salmon. And how did it get like that? We must ask ourselves, because it's very much changed these days. It's because it that in our languages was what we call a or plan to how we can take care of this beautiful world. How should we take care of this world? Our languages are from the sacred Creator Himself to us and a gift to the world. And how we look after this place, the plans are within those languages. It was never right ever to, and it should never ever be right, ever, to go to someone's home, kick the door open, and steal their children away from them. My mother, my aunties and uncles experienced that in their generation. And they took them away from their families. And my grandmother, Martha Irvin, she died because of it. They stole all of her children away from her, and she died of a broken heart. And how many of those mothers and grandmothers and aunties died along with those children that never got to come home because of this? There's a great hurt in this country. There is a great scar on this land. In your heart and in mine, and in our families. And how are we going to heal that? Do you ever wonder why there's racism in this country? I don't wonder why, I know why. This country is built on racist attitudes. And that's got to change. That's the challenge of those leaders that have just been put back in place. They can't get a majority. Why is it? Because they have to learn how to work together. Prime Minister, the Minister Trudeau, and Jagmeet Singh, they're going to have to work together to make a better place here in Canada. Truth and reconciliation isn't just for today or a year from now, but for many, many years to come. If we want to have peace and happiness, fairness and justice in Canada, then let's do it right and be good to one another in that way. If you're a teacher, then you should teach the children the truth. Teach the children the truth. And ask the governments to stop hiding those truths from the general population. It's been happening far too long. Far too long. It's time enough for us now to look at how poor you have made our Indian First Nations people in this country by stepping on us and making us invisible in all of your ministries and through your laws. It's time to change that. We have a right to be who we are, who created, put us in this world to be. We have a right to speak our language, to pray in our language, to our relatives out there in creation. That's what we believe. This beautiful, beautiful place is part of who we are. We have sacred names for the fishes. We have sacred names for the trees. We have sacred names for the moon and the stars. And we have sacred names for parts of the day. That's how this country got beautiful so long ago, through that way of thinking. And if you want a better country, ask the First Nations how to make it better. They can help you. They can help you. Because they still know and understand how it got to be beautiful that way. Long ago, when those first settlers arrived and they couldn't believe what a beautiful country. It's possible if we work together in a kind and a good and a beautiful way. It's possible in everything that you do, in all the things that you do. And our people just want to have a place of dignity in our own homeland. I pray for that every day. Give us dignity in our own homeland, dear Creator up above. Watch over us and help us find our way to peace. Let our children speak our languages. Let them sing our songs and find peace again in this world. It's time enough for that. I want to thank you for your beautiful songs today. I was so happy to see you at Westwind when I got here to give us your beautiful medicine. I'm not going to say much more than that. And I have to offer a song for those ones that we're going to be hurt again when they announce some more that they found. I want to sing a protection prayer song. Ask my family to come forward. To sing a protection prayer song for those and all of you I know what it's like when I heard about the ones they unearthed where my mom and my aunties and uncles and relatives have gone to school, all the families from home. I cried on my back porch. I cried for 2 days. And you're going to hurt again when you hear the others, because there's going to be hundreds and hundreds more they're going to unearth. That's how they built this country. By taking our children away, destroying our families, and the vision of family that we have as a people. That's going to change. That's going to change. I brought my sweat lodge drum today because it was wet, and you can use it in the rain if you want. But this is my family here, all here together. And where's my solace?
She's with her phone out there.
Okay. And they're learning the language. They're speaking the language, and this is my little tiny grandson. But I want them to sing along with me, because I want you to have the protection that you need in the families, because we have a deep hurt inside of us. We have a deep hurt inside of us. And you might cry again when you hear. I know what it's like. I know how it affected me when I thought of my dear mom. She was only 4 years old when they took her away. She was there for 11 years. And that hurts me. It hurts everyone in my family when we think about that. And all the families that are represented here. Let's do something better for this here Canada. We have lots of caring to do. We have some responsibility to do that. High school.
Beautiful, thank you. And again, what a gift to see our small ones on stage with us. We have another guest, folks. It's my honor to introduce Carl Machon, who's going to be coming up next. Cree from Saddle Lake First Nation, raised in a rural community in southern Alberta. Carl's a very interesting fella. He's got probably one of the most eclectic and diverse backgrounds I know, from working in the Arctic to the oil rigs. He even translated hydro maps into digital forms. These are all the fun things that we find out about each other when we become a little bit curious. Carl, though, served for about 16 years at the BC Association of Aboriginal Friendship Centres as a general manager, he led a lot of provincial and federal projects, a few that were administered to myself. He joined the Ministry of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation in 2017, and he's recently also accepted an assignment as the acting director in the Community and Social Innovation branch. Carl doesn't know this, but a number of years ago, Carl taught me one of the most important leadership values that I hold very dear. And I'm going to leave that between Carl and myself in this tiny note that I have for him, but it is my pleasure to invite him to the podium in order to share words with you today. They're going to come up and just adjust this. I'm sorry, I don't know how to do that for you.
Tansy, good afternoon. The Cree name that my mother gave me at birth was Kahiwan, and that's a Cree word for north wind. And she told me that the north wind preserves life. And so on the prairies and in most of the northern Turtle Island, when those winds come down, it's time for everything to go to sleep and to preserve life until the next season of the spring. I just want to thank everyone today that's come, because you're helping me heal, and you're helping everyone, I think, heal of from whatever beginnings they've had and some struggles in life. And I'm just so honored to be here. I don't know why I'm here, to be honest, other than I'm a friend of Christian and Eddie. And I'm so honored that I can be part of something that they've just been so tirelessly dedicated to serve, and to give this the voice and to raise the awareness in our community here. And there's no words for that. And I think that everything that has been said today, and the actions and the dancing and the singing and the prayer songs and all of that, I know that they take it in their heart, and that gives them strength as well to go on and to keep doing this work. I'm just a grateful guest, uninvited visitor to Lekwungen territory, the place that they smoked herring. And I want to thank our elder this morning for opening today, and also for Brianna, who's a friend from some time ago. And I want to tell a couple stories. First of all, I have this good friend, Bruce Parisian, who was the longtime director at the Native Friendship Center here in Victoria. And he told me this story once. He went to a conference in New Zealand, and when he was coming home, he was on a 747, and they left the airport and they flew up, and there was a problem with the plane. And so they had to turn around, and they had to dump all their fuel. And that's a safety measure in case something happens as they're landing, and you don't have any fuel for fire as it comes in. And actually that happened to him twice. So they fixed the plane, or they thought they fixed the plane, and then they took off again. And sure enough, something happened, the light comes on, and they had to go back and dump all this fuel. And you can't imagine how much fuel on a 747 to come back in. And so I thought about that because for me to land my story today, I had to go and dump my bladder. And I was talking with John about that earlier, and he says, yeah, as we get to my age, and I'm also 66, and so I had to do that to wind myself through this incredible crowd, and to dump my bladder. So anyway, I'm here, and I also want to say, and I know there's a few people who have gone, but this is an incredible crowd today. And the last time that I was on a stage where there's this many people, it was with my brother Paul, and we were in Guatemala City. And we'd marched with the Mayan people, 8 kilometers or whatever, into the plaza, and there was hundreds of people in the plaza. And so, and Paul got up on stage and he sang this song, and got, I can't even remember the song now, but it's the one you go like this, and you go like this, like this, like this. And anyway, he had the whole plaza doing that, and it was just wonderful to be a witness to that. I'm a 60 scoop survivor. I haven't used that term a lot, but I've started to use it lately. And I brought my phone up here because, not that I had anything on there to say, but you won't see this, but this is a photo of my birth mother, Elizabeth Cardinal. And you won't be able to see it because you're probably too far away, but this is her Air Force photo. This is the portrait that was taken of her when she was in the Air Force in 1954. And she was the first woman from Saddle Lake to be admitted into the Air Force, because she was the first woman from Saddle Lake to get a grade 12 education. And she did go to residential school, and I never got the opportunity to ask her about that, how she achieved that. But in those days, that was like almost like a postgraduate degree. It was an incredible feat. She was a remarkably intelligent, smart, wonderful, passionate woman. And she wanted to go into the Air Force because when she was a young girl, her Uncle Joe, my great Uncle Joe, left to go to the Second World War, and she ran after him down the road. And she was crying because she didn't know what was going to happen to him. And her Uncle Joe, my great Uncle Joe, landed on the beaches of Normandy that day of, I'm not familiar enough with the history, but he landed with all those soldiers. And he watched his comrades dying and bleeding out on that beach. And he knew from that moment that that blood was the same as the blood that he had. And when he came back to Canada after serving, he never had any notions that he was less than. He knew that he was part of the human race. And that he went on to become chief of the Saddle Lake First Nation for many years. He worked in the prisons tirelessly, and he was just an incredible leader. And I know that there's so much, in the founding of this country that's really has been, and others have shared that today, about us being, Indigenous people being less than, and that the superiority of the colonizers that came here. And it really does warm my heart to see so many people here today, and as someone also shared, that no one here shares that anymore. And I'm just, again, just so grateful that we have this to share in this day. I was watching the flags go up as well, and that flag, the Canadian flag, is still at half down there, like you can see from the building. I don't know when that's going to go up. There's still so much to be done, but this is an important day. And it's an important day for all of us, and to be able to share in stories. So the story I guess I want to share, a personal story, is my mother Liz had to be discharged from the Air Force, and because she was pregnant, and she was pregnant with me, and it was her first child. And she came back to Calgary. She was serving actually on an Air Force base in Quebec. And so she was honorably discharged, and she came back to Calgary. And I was born, I believe, in the Holy Cross Hospital in Calgary. And at that time, I'm not sure of all the history of child welfare, but I think the churches did a lot of that work, and the Catholic Church, of course, was very involved. And because she went to residential school, she was a Catholic. I guess she was probably... she went through all that process of confirmation and whatever. And so within days, they basically shamed her to say, you can't take care of this child. And I know she was reluctant to give me up, but there was so much pressure. She was 19 years old. And so I was taken by the Sisters of Providence in Calgary. And for 5 years, I was in their care. And I was, in my earliest memories, probably maybe 3 or 4 years old, I moved from a number of houses, different foster homes, I would suppose. And then I remember the day that I left the last foster home, and I was peering out the back of, I don't know if it was a Pontiac or something, and watching, the car was driving away and I was going somewhere. And ended up I went to an orphanage in South Calgary called the Creche. And so the Creche was the first, I guess, building that the Sisters of Providence actually had as an orphanage. And it was brand new. And my memories, even though they're still pretty vague, I was in this big room, and I see pictures of the schools today, and have these big open rooms with these cots, all lined up, and the children all, in these cots. And that was a memory that I share in this orphanage. One of the things that has come to me very recently, only within the last year, when I say this, I have to say this with gratitude. I was adopted out from that orphanage when I was 5, and I was adopted into a non-native family in southern Alberta. What I didn't realize until recently is that the children that came out of that orphanage would have gone into residential school. And so that good fortune, was that I didn't end up in a residential school. And that I ended up actually with a loving family, on a ranch in a community, and I grew up, and people loved me and helped me grow, and I'm here today because of those 2 wonderful parents that adopted me, and I owe my life to them, and so as Rochelle has shared, I did a lot of different things through my sort of working years, and I ended up back I ended up in British Columbia, in Vernon, and one day I'm listening to a radio show on CBC, and it was a woman who was working for the United Native Nations, and she was doing a program of recovering children that were taken, from homes, Indigenous children that were taken out of the country. And a lot of children ended up in the US, a lot of them ended up in Europe, I'm sure some ended up in Asia perhaps. And so I'm sitting on my deck and I'm thinking, I always had some notion that I was Native, but I never knew 100% because I was never given that information specifically. So I phoned the CBC and I asked, can I talk to that woman because she might have some ideas about, what I might be able to do. And so and I got connected with her, and she says, well, if you don't know if you're Native, apply for status. And then the federal government is obligated to look for your ancestral documents and such that were locked away in Alberta services or whatever. And so I did that, made the application, and about 2 years later, I get this letter in the mail. And this letter says, yeah, we've determined that you've got Indigenous or Aboriginal ancestry and you're either part of the Cold Lake First Nation or the Saddle Lake First Nation. So I phoned the Cold Lake First Nation, and I got to talk to the chief, Mary Francois, at the time. And we had one document, my parents had one document that had my birth mother's name on it. It was Elizabeth Cardinal, and it was a baptismal certificate. I'm guessing that the nuns or whoever was running the show then had to say, well, this proves that he was baptized, right? So they couldn't have not given my parents that in case they needed to confirm that I was baptized. So anyway, so I had her name, and I said, do you know this woman? Oh, absolutely. Elizabeth Cardinal. She doesn't live here anymore, but I'll get you connected with someone in Saddle Lake, and they will find her for you. So within a couple of hours, I was talking with her on the telephone, and that was a life-changing conversation, a life-changing phone call. And what I learned later was that I went to high school in Drumheller, Alberta, which had a dormitory, which was about 65, maybe 75% Native students coming from all over Alberta. And 2 of my uncles were there at that school at the same time I was there, and I didn't know they were my uncles. And then I found this, I found out, of course, when I talked to Liz right away, that first time. So I know that my heart it's been hardened over the years, and I need things like this to soften my heart and to open myself up to everyone that's, has a story, and also to think about, where I am in my life journey of learning and growing. I've had so many teachers in my life, and there's just days where I just have so much gratitude for being part of something that for so many years I felt shame and not part of, and I can get angry, and I know that there's lots of that kind of energy, when we think about the history of this country and we think about those children, the ones that haven't been found yet, and the lives that they could have lived and the children they could have had. I know my daughter is in the crowd here somewhere, Hannah, and I just want to say to Hannah today, I hope you listened to Dr. Daniel Bain-Smith, what she said. And it's just, I just feel so unbelievably grateful to just be in the company of the people that are here today. And I just want to thank everyone for coming and just being part of something that's so, so important. All of us to be learning more. I'll end on one more thing. I was reading one of the TRC books. It's called They Came for the Children. And I was reading that this morning. And if you get a chance to read that, it's a remarkable summary. If you don't read anything else about residential schools or such, that one is just, it's so powerful and so well put together of where we are, where we've come from and where we are today. And and probably droned on and on, but thank you. I also want to thank our interpreter here for doing the work, because what I have learned is those people that are living in silence, this is important, and it's a very emotional way of speaking, and I really appreciate that that's happening too. So, thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you to our voices in the audience as well. It is my pleasure now, a great pleasure, to introduce Victoria Orange Shirt Day ceremony organizers Eddie, Charlie, and Kristen Spray. Thank you to our friend in the audience. Kristen and Eddie developed this process, this ceremony in 2015 while attending the Indigenous Studies program at Camosun College. Since then, they have worked absolutely tirelessly, everybody, to raise awareness in the community on the harm of residential schools, but also intergenerational trauma caused by residential schools. I'm inviting them and their voices to the podium. They work throughout the year, everybody, to put this together and to hold this together. I've had the pleasure of working with them in a lot of different capacities. And we're going to have their voice join our beautiful voice here in the audience as we continue our ceremony. All my relations, miigwech. Kristen and Eddie, please.
And as a native, I want to respect each and every one of you. All my elders that are up there today, I raise my hand so high. I was taught to speak when I need to speak, not in a lineup. My name is Harley Rice. I come from Seattle, Washington. I was born here on the island, raised on this island. For all of you guys to be here, red, white, black, Asian, what we are doing today means a lot. All my elders that are here, my elders are the ones that taught me to speak when I need to speak. I need to speak today as a young person, because we are the ones that carry on our tradition. We don't have a book. We don't have nothing. We learn from up here. This is where we learn. We learn from our elders that are sitting up here today. And I want to acknowledge these elders. I can't stand back and not say nothing. To everyone that's here, I raise my hand so high. I'll yell it so that everyone can hear you guys today. eem-Victoria. We all own this land, not one person. eem-Victoria. Respect to my elders.
Today is an opportunity to make space, for the voices that need to be heard. Thank you to our brother in the audience, Harley Rice. And on that note, once again, it is my honor to invite Eddie Charlie and our beautiful sister, Kristen Spray, to the podium in order to continue to share all my relations. And thank you, Harley.
eem-Victoria. Asa Kristen Spray. Just isan wasan. Isan konasetla tian alananak. Hello, my name is Kristen Spray. And I grew up on the Wasanich people's homelands. I want to acknowledge Dr. John Elliott today. He was a teacher at Camosun College in the Indigenous Studies program for Eddie and myself. And he has changed the way that I see this land, how I feel on this land, how I walk on this land. I grew up around a village area and site, a mountain called Pecals. I was told it was Mount Douglas. And there's many more things I've been learning over the years. In 2013, I attended the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And one of the reasons why I wanted to go there is because 20 years ago, I got to know a family. One of the family members is here today, Melvin Jones from Smun eem, and also Carol Baker, who's Squamish. And they accepted me as a friend and later on as a family member. They welcomed me to Big House. And over time, I would hear a little bit about residential school. And I felt like I needed to know more about these schools and why they were so hurtful and what happened. And so in 2013, I listened to many people share about what white people did to children in these schools. And it was really shocking, and it changed my life, and I knew that I needed to do something. And so even though school was not my favorite thing, I wanted to learn more from Indigenous people, and especially more history about the Indian Act and the laws of this country, the laws that have left out First Nations people. And so I found out about the Indigenous Studies program at Camosun College, and I entered in 2014, and I got to know Eddie Charlie. We were classmates. And in the first week of our schooling, we were sitting in circle, and our good friend and instructor, Sandy Mitchell, I'm not sure where she is, she's somewhere here right now, she asked us what it was that we would like to experience in the next couple of years. And I had a lot of shame and guilt because there's so much that I didn't know growing up here. And so I said I'd really like a place of belonging, if that was possible. And when it came to Eddie's turn, he stood up and he said that it was his grandfather's way, that there's room in the circle for everyone. And so that's part of where the story of friendship started between Eddie and myself. And later that month, we heard about Orange Shirt Day. Phyllis having her shirt taken from her, how she felt lonely, how she couldn't go back and see her grandmother, her mother, her auntie. So students came together and we wore anything orange. And we shared in our classes about residential school. But that didn't feel like enough. There was over 18,000 students on campus and only about 10 or 15 of us in orange. So I asked Eddie if he would consider working together to raise awareness about residential school. And he didn't answer me. And so we kept getting to know each other, and I asked him again, and he didn't answer. I couldn't forget about it because I feel like after witnessing people sharing their stories about the physical abuse, the mental abuse, the sexual abuse, being starved, kept away from their cultures, their languages, I had a responsibility. I just had to keep asking. And so in 2015, Eddie and I came back to school, and I asked him again, can we work together to tell the truth, to tell more people about residential school? And Eddie said yes. And so together at Camosun College, Aitshqualoan, the Indigenous Department, we worked together to have food, to have ceremony, to have truth-telling. And Camosun College has had ceremony ever since. Eddie got to know our good friend, Mayor Lisa Helps, and we asked if we could have ceremony in the city after we graduated. And without any hesitation, she agreed. And she not only agreed, she's made time and space for us any time of day, even in the night, 4 or 5 a.m., getting messages to help create more space for equal rights, to stand up against racism and injustice. And so we've been holding ceremony here since 2017. And today, I'm so grateful to see so many people coming together. Like Eddie said, there's room in the circle for everyone. We started to get to know local businesses like Big Wheel Burger, Cafe Fantastico, Discovery Coffee, yoga studios like Ma Yoga, One Yoga, Fernwood Yoga Den. There's many places that have reached out to us because they also want to be a part of truth-telling, and they want to see change in this country. What I was taught in school growing up was a myth. It didn't include the people who were here first. I forgot something really important, and that is that I want to acknowledge my parents, and they're here today. Martin Spray and Mary Jane Spray. My parents have been big supporters of the work that Eddie and I have been doing, and they've opened their door to anyone who wants to come in. That includes countless orange shirts as well. My parents lend us their van, and it's just right over here. It's, I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's covered in orange. We were invited to participate in a motorcycle rally that honored the 215 plus children that were revealed in Kamloops. And so this was one way we could participate. And then we thought about taking the stickers off, but we thought, well, it's going to be July 1st, and we need to keep those up. And then July 1st passed, and we see so many people that are raising their hands and smiling and affirming having truth driving around the city. I want to thank you so much, Mom and Dad, for allowing me to live with you, for loving me, for teaching me as a young child how important it is to think about other people before myself, to look at a table of food and make sure everyone else has something to eat before I go to the table, and when I go to the table, not to take more than I need or to make sure there's enough left so if someone else comes, they can have food too. I want to thank you too for raising me in a way to think about what it would be like to be in someone else's shoes. And in thinking about being in someone else's shoes, to imagine, and so if you were in their shoes, what would you like? How would you like to be treated? And that's why I'm here today. There's so many important people on this stage. They're eloquent speakers, and they speak truth, and they speak from the heart. And it's a gift and most meaningful to me to be able to call everyone here a friend. And I hope you feel that in my eyes, through my heart. I also want to acknowledge the singers, the drummers, the dancers today. Especially Kaz. Thank you so much for putting a call out to family and to come and drum for all the children today. Hajka Siem.
I don't know where to begin. I just want to say happy Reconciliation Day to everybody here today. I want to acknowledge the land where we are today. I raise my hands to the people of the Lekwungen Nation. I thank you for allowing us to be here to share today. It's a privilege and it's an honor. I also want to acknowledge that walking on these lands with us today, there are many survivors of residential school. And I raise my hands to these people. I say thank you from my heart for being resilient, for showing us strength, for giving us courage, and for empowering us to be everything who we are meant to be. I'm a residential school survivor. I went to Cooper Island. After the discovery of 215 graves on the former residential school in Kamloops, we found out how important reconciliation is. And we found out how important the work that Kristen and I do is. I look out here today, and I see all these orange shirts out there. And I'm filled with gratitude. When you put these orange shirts on, you honor people like me. You honor people like my elder, Mason. And you honor all the other residential school survivors and all the intergenerational survivors. For those of you who don't know anything about residential school, there were 139 residential schools across Canada. And I estimate that 150,000 children were stolen away from their homes and placed in these schools by people who didn't want anything to do with us. They took away our language. They took away our identity. They took away our ability to function as a family. They starved us. And they physically beat us for speaking our own language. They beat us for practicing culture, even tradition. Even a simple gesture like raising our hands or acknowledging our culture, we got beaten for that. But the worst of it was they took us away from our family. And they tried to destroy a culture that they didn't even want anything to do with anyhow. While I was in this residential school called Cooper Island, I witnessed a lot of harm committed against other children. I watched children getting beat up for speaking their own language. I watched people get beaten up just for calling their brothers and sisters by their Indian names. And while I was there, I had to watch my classmates, the people that lived with me, I had to watch them starve. They were only feeding us once or twice a day, and not much. I heard some of my former classmates talk about how they hate to hear the word cereal, because we were fed cereal that was more like water. And sometimes it's so old that it had bugs or maggots crawling around in it. But we were forced to eat it anyhow. But that's not the worst of it. People don't like to talk about some of the things that happen in there. But I want people to hear this. Some of the worst things that ever happened in these schools was the sex abuse that happened. People don't like to talk about that because it brings shame to the heart. It brings anger. And it brings hatred out. I know, because some of that sex abuse happened to me when I was only 4.5 years old. I wake up every night and I look up at the ceiling. All I see is that priest smiling down on me. That's my reality. I have to live with that for the rest of my life. And there are many other residential school survivors who have to live through the same thing. I want people to hear the story. I want people to know what happened to all these children, because it's real. Some of the residential schools created some of the most perfect hate machines ever created. And then they allowed them to go back to their homes. And when they did go home, they brought that hate. They brought that anger. And they brought that distrust back into their house. And what residential school didn't destroy, we did. And because we were silent for so long, we became a part of that assimilation. We became a part of that genocide because we taught our family. We taught the people in our communities how to hate just like us. We taught people how to be angry just like us. I look in my community, I see alcoholism. And like Paul said, we need to have a stand against violence, because some of the violence that's been committed against our own family come from residential school survivors. I'm ashamed to say that. I'm ashamed to acknowledge that some of the worst violence committed against our women, our children, come from men that went to residential school. But we need to talk about this. We need to acknowledge it changed us. If we don't acknowledge that that change happened because of a result of residential school, we'll always be stuck in that real bad place. I hope through the creation of this National Reconciliation Day allows us to open up, have more conversation, bring our truth out into the open. I hope that when we do that, we'll be able to accept ourselves for who we were meant to be and not let residential school dictate where we walk, what we do, or what kind of destruction we're going to allow our children to carry. I don't want my legacy to be anger and hatred. I want to leave something really good for my grandchildren to see when they become the new leaders of this land. This has been, I think, some of the most difficult footsteps I've ever taken in the past 6 years. For me to talk about residential school, for me to talk about the shame of being a residential school survivor. I used to drink a lot of beer to hide my pain and my anger, because I was one of those kids that was raped when I was a little child, and I still hate for that. I don't think I'll ever forget that. But I sobered up 25 years ago, and for the first time in my life, For the first time in my life, I can look at myself in a different way and understand that I can make a different choice now. And I hope by sharing, I can inspire other people to stand up and share their own story, share their own truth, and make our community, our country strong again. I'm really happy that our government has finally opened their eyes, their hearts, to the truth of residential schools. It validates myself and many other residential school survivors, and I think it's going to create a lot of hope. This has been the most awesome day for me to see so many people wearing orange shirts out here today. And I really want to say thank you all for coming here. But I want to say thank you. Thank you for wearing those orange shirts today, too. I have a lot of people that I want to say thank you to. But like Kristen says, I want to say thank you to Mary Jane Spray and Martin Spray for opening your hearts to us and letting us steal your van and change it into the orange shirt mobile. And I'd like to say thank you to Mayor Lisa Helps for always standing up with us, embracing our story, offering us the courage to stand up and keep on moving with this story so that we can inspire the rest of Canada. We want all of Canada to understand why we are the way we are so we can allow healing to happen. And we thank Mayor Lisa very much for giving us that courage to do that. We have two special people here today, Michelle and Sarah, who started working with us 5 years ago. And they've given us so many ideas. They walked with us and showed us how to carry ourselves in a good, gentle way. Many times we're out there walking miles upon miles, and we're always so exhausted, and we just want to give up. But here they are with smiles on their face saying, "You got this." So we say thank you. Thank you for walking with us for the past 5 years. And we have a lot of volunteers out there. We want to say thank you. Every year they come back and they offer to help us. And we're so grateful. Without you, I think we would have just wanted to sleep on the stage after finishing Orange Shirt Day. So we're really grateful to you, and we say thank you very much. And I want to thank all the residential school survivors, all the intergenerational survivors who come here today. And I see one of them right in front of me, my sister, Holly. She came to me one day and told me she didn't know I was a residential school survivor. And she's finally beginning to accept the fact that there are more survivors of residential school in her family, and she's allowing her own healing to happen. So I'm really grateful to see my sister here, and I raise my hands to you and say thank you very much for coming here. And I also want to say, 7 years ago, at Commotion College, I sat in the classroom, and a young lady came up to me, and she asked me, "Will you walk with me?" She says, "Will you help me? Will you open my eyes so I understand what it means to be a residential school survivor?" She says, "Will you allow me to walk in your shoes so I can understand the pain of a residential school survivor?" And nobody's ever did that to me before. It took me 1 year to answer her, and I don't regret it. People always ask me, what is reconciliation? Us sharing that path for 6 years, creating understanding, creating awareness about the effects of residential school, showing everybody how to care for each other. That's reconciliation. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for showing me how to carry it in a gentle way. Hi, Scott Young. Thank you, everybody, for allowing me to share. Hi, Scott. Hi, Scott. It's a little bit too late right now. Let's finish this off and then see what.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Eddie, and our beautiful sister, Kristen. Eddie, for your powerful words, your powerful energy. We love you. We respect you. We honor you. You teach many of us what it means to be human and to humanize each other, and I love you for that. I want to once again thank Elder May Sam, Brianna from Songies, all of our guests who spoke, our Indigenous speakers, for their courage, their resilience, for sharing their personal stories with us. Shortly, we're going to be bringing our ceremony to a close, and I invite you to consider honoring and supporting those who've been and continue to be impacted by residential school experience in British Columbia and in Canada. And I encourage you to feel empowered, to be supportive and empathetic, and to feel compassion and commitment to supporting healing and change. Friends and family, you know, sometimes when we look at change, change can be very, very slow. But our system, while far from perfect, is very, very different than it was decades and decades ago. And I encourage you to acknowledge the change that we have seen and to be a part of how to continue to make that change. I stand with you today as an intergenerational survivor and a 60 Scoop survivor. My father, René Dallaire, attended residential school in Northern Ontario. I trust that today he's watching me. Today is a day of reflection. It's a day of recognition. I feel inspired. Today was the first year that our province recognized September 30th, Orange Shirt Day, as Truth and Reconciliation Day. And I hope that this day is going to be remembered as a day that we came together as friends, supportive and loving of each other, and that as we part ways, that we remember to only show friendship and we open our mouths, that we do so only to share good words. We open our eyes to see the good, and we open our ears to hear the good. Friends and family, it's my honor to have been part of this day with you, miigwech, all my relations, and we thank each and every one of you for standing with us today, all my relations.